Hot as the equator in a cipher around the planet. Lyrical. Hot as the equator in a cipher around the planet. Lyrical.
When you see me holla, hello, I am the gifted fellow out of the crew they call lyrical opposition. I'm moving without precision, pivoting my position is pivotal. With the pen I get rid of the competition. Intentional, then again, accidental. The words impact the mental. I'm back to giving them bars.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. We are Lyrical Assembly, which is a platform and a community for artists to share and spread hope, as well as use their talents to talk about what's happening in the world. We are really passionate about three things: faith, art, and social justice. So we use the teachings of Jesus and how that informs our faith, and we use our words and our art to spread that message. Today we have 4 great poets in store for you, and they are going to be sharing their gifts with us. So please give them your full attention and be blessed.
Yeah, we have had a history with Lyrical Ops doing takeovers, faith-based community that puts their efforts into pouring into the community through the arts, specifically hip hop and poetry. And they're going to be rocking with us. Some very, very fire poets, like Fire Nation level poets, are going to be joining us this morning. So it's going to be really, 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 really good. What's even more exciting is this lineup that we have coming at you. So we're going to kind of hear from each artist in regards to these questions. And then we'll go into the shared art, the shared pieces. So for the shared art, on deck, we have Ashley. But I want to hear from, let's see. I'm going to pick on you by the order in which you logged on. So I want you to answer. Let me switch the camera here. Let's bam. Where's everybody at? Hop on, man. Oh, there he is. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right, let's go. So I'm gonna geek out real quick. I'm gonna give you like 10 seconds to make sure you have your answers. All right. So I'm gonna geek out. We got some overlays, Lyrical Opposition Takeover in the building with the logos. That's what's up. All right. So I want to hear first from Lacey. Introduce yourself and let us know what your favorite form of art is.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lacey Wing. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm from Seattle, Washington. My favorite form of art expression these days, you would think because I'm a poet, I would say poetry. But honestly, I love to dance. So just like free form expression, breaking it down, little mini dance party. Yeah, exactly. So that's been very like freeing for me, just to be able to move my body to music. Yeah.
That's what's up. I appreciate that. Next, logging on, my main man, Jermaine Hughes. What is up, man? Let us know who you are and what's your favorite form of art.
So yeah, my name is Jermaine Hughes here, born and raised in Oakland. Yeah, I would say graffiti, before I knew about spoken word poetry, before, rap really hit me, I loved graffiti, seeing it. I loved, if you will, the greatness of some of the artists that were out there. And so just driving by the train tracks, it was everything to me. So that's definitely a favorite art form.
That's fire. And y'all, he has a fire piece of art graffiti. Check it out on YouTube and all that fun stuff. Next logging on, I believe we had Ashley, all the way from where you at? Where you at currently, Ashley?
I am currently in New Jersey.
All the
Technology.
way from Jersey out here joining us. This is so exciting. What is your favorite form of art, Ashley?
My favorite form of art is actually tagging on Jermaine. So graffiti. Now, I'm not a graph expert, I'm really kind of tapping in exploration myself. But as far as appreciating the art, I love the freestyle and spontaneity of legal, non-gang related graffiti.
Preach.
As long as I got permission to, touch the surface, we're good to go. But yeah, I like / environmental art, and I'll leave it at that, just because I like the ability for people to be exposed to good art and to experience it. It's not just a visual thing; it's a personal thing.
That's fire. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Trejay. What you got? Take us home. Favorite form of art?
Hey y'all, I feel kind of just real in the box because I've been writing poetry since I was 8 years old. So I'm gonna go with poetry because it's been holding me down for some decades now. That I will say during quarantine, I've been dabbling in cooking, which I really feel like is a form of art. So baking, trying new recipes, trying to make it look pretty on the plate, like just having fun with flavors and seasonings and things like that has been something I'm trying out lately.
That is what's up. I've been watching a show called Raw Vegan Not Gross on Hulu. Shout out to Hulu for coming up with the dope shows. Some amazing quick recipes. So I need to tail end that art form for sure. So now this next question, I wanted to popcorn. I don't necessarily want to call on you. So right now, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, Traje, with the cooking in this time. With all this going on in today's climate, this year, this month, this week, this moment, what has been your go-to? Like this is what I do. We got a little bit of dance from Lacey, we got a little bit of the cooking, but as you think that question through, like this has been my saving grace right now, this form of expression, what would it be? Go ahead.
I'll start
Okay.
by saying that the podcasting has been my saving grace. It gives me, not only forces me to engage with folks that I really want to know and really want to understand and have a relationship with, in this context, right? We will not see each other. We will not be hanging out soon. There is no time like running into somebody at the event. There is no event. But I am nonetheless networking, nonetheless giving something to the world, and nonetheless building with other folks. Saving grace.
Beautiful. That's what's up. Just let me know when I'm going to be a guest. I haven't got an invite. I'm just saying.
Right. Shots fired.
I would say for me, twofold. I've been hosting open mics on Instagram, and so being able to build community with other people has been really awesome to share how they're getting through and that connection. And then playing pretend. I have two small boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. So just reacting the whole Avengers movie with all the action figures, like just that. I mean, about my son Thanos, and Thanos came in the party, and like it's been a whole thing. And so really allowing my creativity to go into more of a childlike place has helped me to handle some of the like really weighty grown-up emotions.
That is fire. I love that. I am a humongous kid. I got Batman right here on deck, ready to save the world, ready to save y'all. So that's what's up. Anybody else?
For me, it's definitely been, I think, number one, poetry or just free writing in general. Just because there's a lot happening in the world. It's very heavy, so it's nice to get thoughts on paper. And then another thing like Traje, for me has been cooking. So right now I live with my parents, and I'm Vietnamese, so I've been being more intentional, like spending time in the kitchen trying to watch them like do what they do, because Vietnamese food is very complex. Yeah, and it's just like it's like speaking a different language, like watching them cook, like our parents, our grandparents, they don't use no measurements, right? You're like, my mom's like, what's a tablespoon? Right? Like, I never heard of no tablespoon. I was like, Mom, like, you got a recipe written down? And she's like, nah, you just know. So I'm trying to work on like getting to just know. So yeah.
Yo, that's discernment. That's that next level gift. Jeez.
That's a spiritual gift, right?
You feel me? Like
Yeah.
grandma with the spiritual gift of bam. That's all you need. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Ashley, what about you?
The same. Like, as far as cooking is, because cooking is a pastime for me anyway. Like, so if you're on my IG, you'll see me post a little stuff here and there. We'll see how that pans out as far as actually bringing in some supplemental income. But free writing, cooking, and then I'm with my parents now too, so it's kind of hard to really get real deep and dirty with my art as far as painting and making a mess, because yeah, that part. So free writing is really a place for me to kind of confront emotions. And then forums like this where I can commune with people such as yourselves, and just engage with like-minded people and individuals who are like going through the same struggle, but learning how to express themselves and cultivate these experiences so that we can help other people. This has just been a blessing, and so that's pretty much it.
Awesome. That is amazing, y'all. I can't help but see the value of not only self-expression in times of struggle and times of joy, just in general, but the combination between art and self-expression, and how we see that in faith, how we see that in the Psalms, how we see that with the prophets. The prophets had an incredible artistic approach to how they shared God's message. And I don't think too much has changed today. I think there's a lot of wisdom and faith and insight and prophecy in the arts, and our ability to tap into that is something that we shouldn't stray away from as people of faith. So again, I very much appreciate you all for coming on and sharing your gifts and your hearts and your time and your talent. And as we transition from this time of wilderness into kind of like a stage 2 wilderness, navigating what that looks like in these times, I feel that art is going to help us get there. So with that being said, let's get into some art. So Lacey, you're on deck, but Ashley, you're up. So I'm going to go ahead and shift the cameras up here and bless us a little bit with what the title of this piece is. Give us the piece, and then give us some insight into the backstory of the piece. Is that cool?
Sounds great.
Beautiful. Let's go.
All right. So first and foremost, thanking all of you all for just being in attendance. My name is Ashley Davenport. I go by Ash the Artist. That's my creative. And the title of this piece is called Wilderness. Wilderness. Okay, hopefully you caught that. All right, so here it is. I'm not sure what your wilderness is like, but I can tell you about mine. Hindsight is 2020. Yet this year I've felt more blind. I'm not sure what your wilderness is like, but I can definitely tell you about mine. Pockets heavy with sand, eyes heavy with tears, struggle after struggle after struggle, amounting to nothing over the years. I'm not sure what your wilderness is like, but I can tell you about mine. Climbing mountains to elevate, but they're just as unstable as my mind. Convergent plates seem to shift and contort. Every advance upward interrupted, blundered and rendered useless. Endless striving, yet nothing attained. I'm not sure what your wilderness is like, but I can tell you about mine. Pools of doubt and uncertainty, mirages about me. The drought never seems to end, but recycles itself as it spins. So the dust, devil, appears to win again. I'm not sure what your wilderness is like, but I'm going to tell you about mine. I find myself searching for clarity, not security, because I know I'm safe. Dignity, not luxury. Fearing not for my life, but for my future. Fear of an empty legacy. My present is presently desolate. No signs of life in the distance. No forests and no trees. No silence and no breeze, or just silence. But I have this whisper, this reminder that the greatest of all men had a wilderness too. And at the end, he was tempted, confronted with lies, baited by a deceiver. But he conquered the fake and the foolish and ushered in. So I suppose, although I can't see how to maneuver, this dust has been charted and proven. Yet, I'm not sure what your wilderness is like. And that's it.
Yo. So that is real. I felt it. I want to hear, what was the thought process that led you to put those words to paper, theoretically speaking?
Absolutely. So my initial motivation, this is a fresh piece, was definitely the theme. wilderness, which I think is perfectly titled for this season that we're in as a culture and as a society. I think that the playing field has been leveled for everyone. I don't care what economic status or what class you're in. Everybody is kind of like seeing things from the same lens. We're all struggling. And so understanding that this is common kind of helps it hurt less. But in the same sense, leaning on one another to determine how to navigate through our own wilderness is important. Remembering how this is so parallel to our biblical example that's given by Jesus Christ and how he had a wilderness that he had to go through. But at the end of that was his promised land, right? But more so his ministry began to unfold immediately after he conquered what seemed to be an endless environment of death, no life, and dryness. So long story short, that's where this comes from.
I mean, this would be where there'd be the applause and the snaps, because that's fire. Thank you so much, Ashley. You are a gift. That piece is a gift. That insight into your journey, your wilderness. I just love that phrase. I don't know about your wilderness. That's so good. Like, so often we like feel like we know what people's struggles are or their lack of struggle. Like, it's humble. It's real. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I second that. It's like you knew we were talking about the wilderness. That's been like, I think everyone's going through it, but it's like somehow you nailed that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we should get some chats, like some of the comments in here too. So feel free, as the artists are sharing, we might highlight some, like if there's a line that stands out to you or whatever, we can throw it up on the screen. Young Sun Kim just says thank you. I second that. So yeah, way to go. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for being with us.
Amazing. Yeah, we will definitely have some momentary time to engage with the artists. We're going to keep this thing going. So on deck, we have Traje. But next up, Lacey, let us know what you got. What is the name of the piece? Give us the piece, and then give us a little bit insight onto the piece.
Yeah, so my piece, it's called Quarantine Thoughts, and it's a piece that I wrote like right when quarantine started in March, and it was just a really difficult time for me mental health wise. And yeah, so I hope a lot of you can relate or resonate, or maybe somewhere in my poem I'm able to put thoughts to words or words to thoughts that you haven't been able to. So here goes. As a homebody, quarantine didn't feel so bad at first. I finally had an excuse to stay in my room and watch an endless amount of YouTube, catch up on Netflix shows, and learn TikTok dances. I no longer had plans I dreaded attending or days where I felt socially burnt out. It was an introvert's dream. But now I realize that physical quarantine is one thing, but there's also quarantine of the mind. Although I am physically safe, tucked away within the comforts of my own home, my mind is another story. In my mind, there is no living room where the family gathers or backyard patio where the sun shines. There is only darkness. There are no windows or curtains I can open, and every time I run my hands along the walls to try and find a light switch, my hands are met with emptiness. In my mind, there are no conversations shared over dinner, or belly laughs that echo throughout the house. There is only silence. When I speak, my words bounce across the walls and return back to me, reminding me that I am alone. And in my mind, there are no shiny mahogany floors, only cracked cement ground with pieces of broken dreams and half-written poems scattered everywhere. There is no sense of home. I am a stranger renting out a space that belongs to my landlord's depression and anxiety. And in my mind, I do not feel safe. I know physical quarantine is saving lives, but inside, I feel like I am losing mine. And thank you everyone for listening. Yo, you're on mute, OD.
Yeah.
It's all good. Thanks everyone for
2020.
listening.
Rookie, man, I'm newbie out here, man. Level
It's
1.
all good.
Anyway, Lacey, what is your role with Lyrical Opposition?
So I'm an artist, so signed as an artist, and also I am program director of Lyrical Assembly, which is our more faith-based organization or branch of Lyrical Op. Yes.
So you're out here like being a boss and then writing bars. Like, oh man, it's impressive.
Seriously.
You feel me? Like, man. So I mean, with the quarantine theme, it's kind of obvious to see some thoughts in there. So rather than give me the backstory of the piece, like, how did that piece help you process things? Was it helpful? Was it just like, hey, I did this thing because I did this thing? Like, what was that process like for you?
I think it just, like I said before, I think like writing that piece, it was very almost healing in a way, like affirming. And also one thing I want to know about that piece is like, I wrote it for like another open mic that LO had. But I really wanted to end it like with some victorious thing at the end, you know, like, because I am a Jesus follower, so you could call me a Christian poet. And I think a lot of times I feel like I gotta end pieces like, and then God came in, and then Jesus came in, and I felt way better, and da 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 da. And I'm just like, that's not how I felt in the moment. You feel me? Like, right? And like, I don't know if the other poets here felt that, but like, it's not like that. Even like some days you don't feel victorious. And actually, I would rather keep it real with God and tell God, I don't feel victorious right now over my mental health, than try and write up some, you know, victorious ending at the end of my poem. So it was very healing for me to just like end the poem there.
Absolutely love it. I actually had a conversation with a buddy who hated when we ended a worship song on the like happy note. It's like, no, let the tension sit. Like, it's real. It's a real part of our faith and our life and our walk, and it's authenticity. So thank you so much for that, Lacey. That's fire. I appreciate that. Jermaine, looking fly. You were on deck, but Trejay, you got a few pieces for us. Yup.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hi, everyone. I am Trejay. I am out of Fontana, Inland Empire, California, so SoCal. And so I do have a couple of poems for you guys. I have one that I wrote for this specifically. Well, I kind of wanted to make sure that it was aligned with the theme. And then I have another that I do every so often. So the first one I'm going to share with you guys is entitled Girl Scouts. So I always wanted to be a Girl Scout. But those ugly brown jumpers and badges was a uniform that couldn't transform me from chunky, socially awkward bookworm to captain of the cheerleading team. See, I got used to being a queen. See, I didn't understand what it means. See, I got used to making crowns of thorns at recess to get used to the idea of being a queen, but my petals wilted from using my bodies irresponsibly. See, girls like me, we sell our cookies to princes at discount prices. We earn brownie points for forgiveness and not making a scene. You see, my first time was no campfire ritual. See, my first expression of love was being pinned to an oak tree and force-fed my first kiss. And every life lesson and heartbreak after this was a brightly colored tattered badge that I stitched into my skin. You see, I earned them all. The My Best Self badge, Proving flaws is just God's way of saying, handle my daughter with care. The social butterfly badge. To be fly, you see, even caterpillars have to accept that change is inevitable. The truth seeker badge. For asking my cheating ex-boyfriend's questions I already knew the answers to. The on my own badge. Proving that being single meant not having to share my desserts or worth with a man. You see, I gave them all I had. I did all that I can. I earned all the badges I could. The on my own badge, the wife badge, the mother badge, the homeowner badge, the intercessor badge, the prophetic badge, all stripes in a battle for a kingdom that no woman truly rules. See, I got used to the wounds, became an expert in first aid. I stitched triumph and defeat into my spine so I would never forget that even fallen soldiers still stand for something. And today I stand in front of you as a woman who did not let love do-si-do with my heart and leave me to crumble like a box of discarded Thin Mints, to let a careless man turn my cookies into abandoned anthills, hyped up skirts and tattered threads follow the trail of boys who climbed my mountain but didn't capture my flag. You see, I gave them all I had, and now I realize that I don't need happy homemaker qualities to run a household. I'm not a little girl trained to chase clubs in high societies, but I understand that all women have a little Girl Scout in our genes. We achieve our dreams and give our cookies to who God deems worthy. We document our journeys and the lives of our children, and we brave uncharted territory every time we decide to forgive and love again and again and again. And our skin is the jumper that God gave us to show off the burns from being pushed too close to campfires, to display the wounds that we remix into wilted petal memories, because I've seen enough History Channel to know that without queens, kingdoms crumble. And I would rather run in the wilderness rocking a crown of thorns like my creator than be crucified for not being majestic enough to climb. To wait for a man to give me his last name like it's the only badge I need. So when I die, lay an invisible quilt of badges over my coffin like a martyred matriarch in the war for my identity. So the angels will know that I died not wanting to be a Girl Scout, not wanting to be a queen, not wanting to be anything more than what you finally see, a daughter of a king. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Like, I know you got another piece, but just hold on for a little bit. Like, what?
Snaps.
So
Snaps.
I have a 5-month-old daughter, and I'm gonna need that like in a book form so I can read that. Oh my gosh.
To be clear.
I'm just saying. And you got Nala in the background? Like what? What? Look at Simba and Nala in the like Trisha, you are just my vibe right now. Anyway.
I'm a Leo and my husband's a Leo. So that's us. That's our,
I got it.
Cartoon us. And so I'll share about that piece and then I'll jump into the other.
Please.
So I wrote that piece years ago, but it was really during a time when I was trying to find my identity and who I was. And I was tying my identity to my roles. I was tying my identity to who I was to other people instead of really tapping into who God said I was. And so those metaphors and those analogies are all really true stories of having toxic relationships, of trying to figure out who I was. There's a line I skipped over, but it says the secret agent badge for lying about who I love to those I love, who I am to those I love. And it's this idea that I wore all these badges, I wore all these masks, I wore all these uniforms, if you will, but I wasn't answering to who God had called me to be. And so once I understood that to be a woman doesn't mean that you have to conform to what society says, but you have to align with what heaven says, it was the most freeing thing that I've ever experienced. And I think when we talk about even our LGBTQ plus community, right, this idea of what a woman is just something that we come up with. It doesn't align with what God says, right? And so if we can tap into who God says we are, I think that we can all be bold enough to really walk in our true purpose and our identity.
Absolutely beautiful. Sadie says, so good. Thank you for creating and sharing that we can be queens as a single aspect of who we are, but doesn't define us. Absolute facts. Oh, that was fire. So you got one more for us. Yep. Yes.
So in the spirit of the wilderness, I heard Lacey say something about not ending a poem happy, and it immediately made me think of Moses. and how he didn't get to the promised land, but he had to leave everybody else there. And so this idea of wandering in the wilderness and not being afraid of that wilderness moment. And so this poem is entitled Outside is Open. Most would say the wilderness is a scary place. To wander into uncharted territory without compass or guide, but to exist amongst your creations is to be reminded of your intentionality in creating down to our faults. There is something so beautiful in knowing we are not alone in our uniqueness, knowing that even our mistakes are divinely covered by your hand. If we ever wondered who we are, you said, ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you, or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? See, in his hand is the life of every creature, and the breath of all mankind. The children of Israel knew what it meant to be free, but learned what it meant to trust you with that freedom. So your blessings are like manna falling even when we find ourselves scorched by the fires of fear. Lord, your breath is the cool breeze that refreshes me back to life when I have run myself into the ground chasing everything but you. Forgive me, Father. I long to hear your voice in the quiet of a sunrise. When I find myself lost in the worries of the world, I can always find your face in the ripple of a stream. Thank you, Father, for creating me, for helping me become rooted like the tree planted by the water, helping me see that I am never alone because I am surrounded by the rustle of the leaves, the chirping of a bird, or the buzz of a bee. Remind us that our busyness is not the same as bearing fruit. See, we've been searching for you in all the wrong places. Help us to pause, take inventory of the grass under our feet, how it bends but does not break, to take notice of the sunflower that turns its face towards the sun as the day progresses. Let us follow your light the same way. Let these fists of protest bloom into open palms of forgiveness. Help us to honor the world you created for us to find joy and peace. Help us to find ourselves phoenix amongst the ashes of this America. Let your voice be a daybreak on the horizon, casting darkness into the sea. Your hand is upon every living thing, and we are eternally grateful to steward this garden we call life. Let us find your spirit in the clouds. Feel your gentleness in each grain of sand. How many are your works, Almighty? How we honor even the smallest flower. A reminder that outside is always open for us to worship your creativity.
Yo, that is fire. That is fire. And you wrote that for us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need that one in print too. And Alma Susanna with the bars. Shout out
my goodness.
Man, was writing that process, going back to kind of what Lacey had brought up, what was that like for you? You did that for us, you know. Thank you. Blessings for sharing your gift. What was that process like?
For me, I really looked at thinking about the idea, because I kept hearing, once the outside opens, I can't wait for outside to open during this whole quarantine. And I was just like I don't understand what that even means, because you can literally walk out your house right now. And so the idea of outside is equated to activities, not God's creations. And I remember my therapist had told me, whenever you're feeling bogged down, whenever you're feeling trapped or burdened, to get away from man-made things and go towards God-made things, which is nature. And so kind of thinking about us trying to pivot and shift and find ways to bring God's word to his people, I sat with it and I was like, what is the most beautiful thing that he's created? Everything, right? Like everything, how Adam and Eve just existed in the garden. And I was thinking about, when we think about the wilderness, we always think of it as this scary place, as this place we have to get through, as this place we have to pass through, right? The children of Israel were in the wilderness, but the wilderness is the forest. The wilderness is the ocean. The The wilderness is the desert, the mountains. Like that's also this uncharted territory where we can uncover such beautiful things. So if we look at the wilderness not as a scary place to bypass, but as a place to really learn and grow and thrive, we can approach it and receive it, I think, in a different way.
Go ahead, Pastor Trejay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, let's say says, I love that line about fists of protest becoming open palms of forgiveness. Imagery on point. That is what's up. So, Jermaine, I don't know how you're gonna follow that. So, I mean, you are our OG LO member. So, hold us down. No pressure.
Lacey, you don't want these problems. You don't want these problems. I'm like, oh, thank you very much, Greg. Thank you. You're the best. You are the best.
Oh man, Jermaine has been rocking with LO for such a long time, and it is an honor and a gift to have shared this crew with you, brother. So you got this, man.
Cool. Actually, what I want to do is I want to read a couple things because now I have to, right? I want to read a couple things from my book, and yeah, I think they're relevant to this conversation. And so, the first one I want to read is from a poem